You feel it, you don't need proof, you don't need explanations, you just feel it. You talk and it doesn't come back. You reach out and there's no echo. You try, and it's as if you're trying alone. That person is there, but the connection is gone. Not anymore. And you pretend not to notice, you pretend it's just fatigue, that it's a phase, that it's all in your head. But deep down, you already know, you've already noticed. The way has changed, the timing has changed, the intention has changed. This person no longer seeks with the same hunger. They no longer open up with the same urgency. They no longer choose you with the same brightness. You try to hold on, but you realize you're gripping something that no longer holds you back. And it slowly kills you. It's the end that comes before the end. It's the body present and the feeling absent. It's the automatic care without soul. It's a kiss given out of obligation. It's a hug that doesn't provide reassurance. It's the I'm here, but without being present. You realized it on the day you tried too hard. And still, you weren't seen. You weren't felt. You weren't taken into account. You realized the moment you understood you were fighting alone, and that person had already checked out a long time ago. They just forgot to let you know. That hurts. And it hurts more than a fight, more than a breakup, because there's no closure, just silence, and you sit there hoping something will come back, but it doesn't. Have you ever lived something like this? It's not an exaggeration, it's not neediness, it's perception. You notice it doesn't come from the outside. It doesn't come through words. It comes from within. It comes from a presence that dissolves, from a warmth that no longer spreads, from a conversation that cools down before it turns into exchange. At first, that person still responded. They still smiled. They still said, I'm here. But little by little, you realized that this I'm here no longer came with soul. It was just noise. It was just a role being fulfilled. And then everything changed. There was no announcement. There was no warning. Only the silent absence of someone who was still present, but no longer felt anything. You tried not to believe. You tried to convince yourself it was all in your head. You tried to justify what couldn't be justified. You tried to adapt to an absence that still had a name. But inside, you had already noticed. And once you noticed, there's no way to unsee it. The kiss still happened, but it tasted different. The hug still came, but the warmth had disappeared. The words were spoken, but there was no truth left in the tone. This person didn't care anymore. They no longer asked how your day was. They no longer showed interest in your worries. They no longer listened when you talked, just heard enough to reply, and sometimes not even that. You sat next to them but felt their absence. You slept together but dreamed alone. You shared a routine but carried everything alone inside. Even the gestures of affection changed. They became automatic. They became timed. They became devoid of desire. You noticed. You noticed because the energy shifted, because care turned into a chore, because their gaze started to pass through you instead of landing on you. And this is a grieving while living. It's the end of a bond that hasn't actually concluded. It's the goodbye that no one had the courage to say. It's the farewell that was silent. You tried to make up for it. You tried to give more. You tried to yield, listen, change. You even tried to become someone you weren't, to see if that would make this person feel something for you again. But nothing changed, because when someone has stopped feeling, it doesn't matter how much you move. That person is no longer there to feel what you do. You noticed, and you started to suffocate, because the pain of absence isn't just about the other person. It's the absence of yourself within the relationship. It's realizing you've disappeared from the space where you once existed fully. Your joy no longer echoed. Your sadness no longer prompted care. Your presence no longer sparked any movement. It was like being silent while screaming. It's like being alive, yet ignored. And this destroys you from within, because you start to doubt even your own perception. Is it an exaggeration? Am I expecting too much? Am I hard to love? But it's not that. You noticed. You're not crazy. You're just feeling what no one else has had the courage to say. This person has stopped feeling. They might still be right in front of you. They might still message you. They might still call it love, but something inside them has switched off. And you're feeling that. You're feeling the weight of maintaining a bond that has already unraveled. You're feeling the effort of giving to someone who no longer values what you offer. You're feeling the loneliness within their presence. And no one talks about this, about what it's like to be with someone, and still feel alone because it's easier to pretend everything is fine. It's easier not to bring it up. It's easier to avoid the pain of admitting that love has ended. But you can't keep lying to yourself, because this realization is begging for honesty. It's begging for courage. It's begging for a movement that comes from within. Even if it hurts, even if it scares you, this person no longer sees you the way they used to. And that's not your fault. It's not your lack. It's not your failure. It's not your defect. It's just the end of something that got lost within the other, that you can no longer reach. You need to look at this. You need to name it. You need to confront what this realization is showing you. This person no longer feels, and you know that. It's in the way their body doesn't get close. It's in the way their voice no longer moves you. It's in the way everything has become a burden. Even being together has turned into an obligation. You've already noticed that it has become effort. It has become insistence. It has become emotional survival. And now it's time to be brutally honest with yourself. Does this person still feel, or are you trying to uphold something that has already shattered? Do you deserve something lukewarm? Do you deserve this abandonment disguised as companionship? Do you deserve to have to shrink yourself to fit in the space this person has stopped offering you? You already know the answer. And maybe you don't have the strength to make a decision yet, but you don't need to decide right now. Just don't lie to yourself anymore. Don't disguise what's obvious. Don't soften what's painful. Don't silence what you've already felt in your entire body. This person has stopped feeling, and you noticed. The question is, what are you going to do with this awareness? Are you going to keep waiting for something to return when there's no longer a path? Are you going to keep trying to justify the absence of someone who chose not to be there? Are you going to keep begging for emotional crumbs? Or are you going to start coming back to yourself? Return to what still pulses inside you. Return to your presence. Return to your truth. Because there's a love you still need to reclaim, your own. So take a breath. Don't force yourself to decide, but don't allow yourself to pretend anymore. Because now that you've realized, there's no going back. This awareness changes everything, and not because it destroys, but because it exposes what has been broken for a long time, and you just didn't want to face it. Your sensitivity has always known. It always warned you. In every night you lay beside someone and felt their absence. In every attempt at closeness that ended in frustration. In every gesture you made that hung in the air, waiting for a reaction that never came. You noticed, but you silenced it. Out of fear of losing, out of fear of being right, out of fear of touching that absence and having it swallow you whole. But now there's no avoiding it anymore, you know. This person doesn't feel anymore, and forcing it won't help. Demanding won't help. Doing more than you already have won't help. Because the absence you feel isn't physical, it's emotional, it's energetic. It's like trying to turn on a light in a place where there's no energy flowing anymore. And you deserve more than that, not as a cliche, but as a necessity. You need to heal from everything you gave that wasn't received, from everything you felt that was ignored, from everything you offered that was wasted. The truth is that no one should have to fight so hard to be seen. You don't exist to seek attention. You don't exist to beg for affection. You don't exist to plead for connection. You realized you're no longer a priority, and now it needs to be a priority for you. The emptiness that this person left behind won't be filled by trying to bring them back. It will be filled when you stop looking outside for what is already crying out for help inside you. Look at yourself right now, just as you are. Tired, drained, confused, full of love that has nowhere left to land. And ask yourself, why continue? What still holds you back? The fear of being alone? Or the illusion that things can still be like they used to be? You know it won't be the same again, because for it to go back, both need to be present, and that person is no longer here. You're trying to hold on to something that requires two hands all by yourself, and it's exhausting you, it's weakening you, it's making you sick. And no one sees it, because on the outside everything seems fine, but on the inside, everything is falling apart. And the worst part? That person knows, but chose to do nothing. And you know it too. And now you need to choose to do something. Not out of revenge, not out of anger, but out of respect. Respect for who you were in this story, respect for everything you felt. A respect for who you still are. Even after so much emotional neglect, you are not the problem. You're just trying to hold on to something that no longer exists. And this realization has brought you here for a reason. Because something in you needs to be reborn. And for that, something in you needs to die. Maybe it's hope. Maybe it's attachment. Maybe it's fantasy. Or perhaps what needs to die is the version of you that accepts emotional breadcrumbs as if they were love. That part needs to go. You've already given too much of yourself. Now it's time to take a step back, to quiet what pulls you away from yourself, to stop chasing after someone who has already stopped walking by your side. You don't need someone who loves you half-heartedly. You need someone who is present, feeling, listening, caring, sharing. That person might no longer does that. And the more you insist, the further you drift from yourself. It's time to return, back to your center. Go back to your silence. Go back to your worth. You've already realized it. And this is a milestone because after you realize, there's no going back to who you were. You change. Maybe not all at once, but inside something has already begun. You no longer settle for less. You no longer believe in excuses. You no longer feel at home where there is only tolerance. You now want more, and you deserve it. And this realization is just the beginning. You will still go through fear, through guilt, through nostalgia, through the was it really this way? You will want to turn back. You will even miss what hurt you. You will blame yourself for waiting so long. But then comes the relief of rediscovering yourself, the relief of no longer pretending, the relief of no longer begging to be loved by someone who feels nothing. And then you will realize something else. You will realize that you were never alone. You will realize that your body always knew. You will realize that your soul was screaming. You will realize that what you call intuition was your self-love trying to save you. Can you hear it now? Can you hear it? This realization is your liberation disguised as pain. Because the pain didn't come just to hurt you. It came to wake you up. That realization you had and that this person stopped feeling wasn't a tragedy. It was a call to step out of where you were diminishing yourself, a call to stop insisting where you were only tolerated, a call to realize that you still feel, and that makes you alive. You still feel. And even when you tried to harden yourself, even when you pretended you could go on like this, even when you thought it was better to settle, this part of you that still feels didn't go silent. It resisted. It begged for air. It screamed every time you accepted less than you deserve. And now you've heard it. Now you've realized this person no longer feels. And that forces you to choose. Either you stay where you are not felt, or you rise up and begin to rebuild yourself. There is no easy way. There is no shortcut without pain. There is no end without mourning. But there is life afterward. There are new beginnings. There is dignity. There comes a moment when you look in the mirror and say, enough. I won't shrink myself to fit someone else's absence. Because that's what you've been doing. You've diminished yourself. You've fallen silent. You've distanced yourself from who you were, all to keep someone by your side who, even when close, wasn't really with you anymore. You held the pain. You swallowed your tears. You endured the indifference. All to maintain a relationship that existed only within your own mind. But now it can't go on. This realization won't leave you. You try to ignore it, but it returns. You try to downplay it, but it insists. You try to cover it up, but it burns. And you know the truth that hurts is always better than the lie that numbs. This person no longer feels. And you don't have to pretend you didn't notice. You can feel everything that's coming now. You can cry, you can be angry. You can doubt yourself, you can be afraid. All of this is allowed, just no longer allowed to betray yourself, to force it, to erase yourself. You've come too far to stay in a place that doesn't recognize you. You've delved too deep into yourself to abandon yourself again. And maybe now is the time to start looking at yourself with the eyes you expected from someone else. You expected kindness. Give that kindness to yourself. You expected to be heard. Listen to yourself. You expected presence. Embrace yourself. You don't have to chase after someone who has stopped running alongside you. It's hard to say this, but it's necessary. Because while you insist, this person doesn't feel. And while this person doesn't feel, you dissolve. And your mission now is to preserve yourself. There is a life after this. There is love after this. There is peace that you haven't even experienced yet. But to get there, you need to go through this, through the cut, through the pain, through the courage to accept what you already knew. You're going to fall a few times. You're going to miss them. You're going to have relapses. You might ask yourself if it's worth it. But if you keep going, you'll eventually realize that what hurt the most wasn't the loss of that person. It was the loss of yourself, and that you won't allow any longer. You will rebuild yourself in silence, at your own pace, with dignity. You will choose to stop convincing yourself that this was love, because true love does not ignore. It does not cool off. It does not abandon in silence. Love is a palpable presence. It is a touch with intention. It is care without being asked. And that you will still experience. But right now, your mission is to free yourself from what only takes up space, from what holds you back in the name of a feeling that has already left, from what keeps you stuck out of fear of starting over. Because yes, it's scary to leave, but staying where you slowly die is worse. If this resonated with you, share it, comment on how you felt, subscribe to the channel and leave your like.